Welcome to the Wayne Bennett Podcast, celebrating West Virginia's people, places, and the culture of Southern Appalachia. Now here's your host, Wayne Bennett.
Welcome to Wayne Bennett's Podcast. I'm your host, Wayne Bennett, and this is episode 175. It's September the 30th, 2025, the day we're taping this. Kind of reminds me of the Earth, Wind, and Fire song, September. Do you remember the 21st night of September, something like that? But our guest today is, we have two actually that are business people, they're entrepreneurs, they're community supporters or friends. Joe and Michelle Bear, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Michelle, you didn't grow up in the Beckley area, did you?
No, I'm originally from Ohio. I was born in Ohio, and then we moved to Texas, and I lived in Fayetteville for 3 years of my life. We moved back to Texas, and then when I graduated high school in Texas, my parents moved back up here.
Did they move because of jobs?
My dad's a coal miner.
Really?
Yes, he was a strip miner. So when we moved to Texas, I was a year old the first time, and he started on the equipment, the Caterpillar equipment, and then he retired about around COVID. That he's got COPD and black lung. They've kind of made him retired. He kind of did it as long as he could, but he was a boss at a mine in Logan when he retired.
Now, where was your mom and dad from? Were they from around here?
Me and my dad were born in Coshocton, Ohio, which is about an hour from Columbus, and my mom was born in Cleveland.
Do you still have family in that area?
We do, actually. My step-grandfather passed last week, and we just went for the weekend. I have a grandfather and a step-grandma that lives in Coshocton still, and I have an uncle that's 2 years older than me that lives in Columbus, Ohio.
How long were you in Texas?
The first time I was in Texas for 8 years, and the second time for 7.
Now, I don't associate Texas with coal mining.
A lot of people don't, but they have a lot of above ground.
But I didn't.
Yeah, they have a lot of above ground to help with they do the power plants.
Yeah. And so you graduated from high school in Texas.
A&M Consolidated High School. I lived in College Station, where the home of the Aggies are.
With this moving around, it's kind of like an army brat in a way, but do you think that helped you or hurt you? Or not, neither?
I think it could go both ways, actually. I learned how to make friends everywhere I went. I learned different cultures. When I moved from West Virginia, I had my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Half of my 8th grade was in Fayetteville. And when I moved to Texas, we moved at that point to A&M Consolidated. And my graduating class had over 1,000 kids. So we had a lot of the professors from A&M's kids. And at that time, that's where I think I learned a lot more about the world, if that makes a little sense. We had just an array of different cultures that was at the high school. And then I think at the same time, I've missed out on those growing friendships. Around here, I see a lot of the girls my age, or, a lot of friends that graduated with Joe are friends of mine now. And they have those special friendships that they've had. They knew each other, and they went through all this stuff through high school, college, kids. I have maybe one or two of those. Mm-hmm. So there was a plus and a minus on that, on both sides.
Now, Joe, have you always been a crab orchard boy?
Yes. Outside of about 13 years, I didn't live here. 14 years. Yeah.
Now, I think the first time I ever saw you played for South.
I did.
In football.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it wasn't Southwest back then.
No, it was just South.
Yeah, there was only 5 teams, I think, back in those days, and they were all kind of centered around Beckley. But like South took kids from Sophia or anybody in that direction. I played for East Beckley back in the old days, and we had Shady Spring boys, and Bowling Edition had Stanford and Piney View guys. So it was kind of an area type. But I'm not sure exactly when they transitioned to Southwest, North,
I know when my nephew played, he's 29, getting ready to be 30. It was Southwest, so somewhere between those. But I don't know. I'm not sure exactly.
Who coached you at South?
Bill Cole. Yeah, he was our head coach, and Jim Lieber was another coach, and Rocky Mills. Let's see, I'm trying to. There's a couple others. Larry Hilton was a little bit of a coach some, and a couple others.
So you guys were y'all were a feeder into Park Junior High,
Right.
basically, and kind of later on Southwest was also.
Yeah.
And what kind of were you guys pretty good South?
Pretty decent, yeah. I think we usually struggled against East, but other than that, I think we did pretty well. I think they had a few good years, especially later, like I guess when I was on the A team and the upper levels.
Now you were as a youngster, you were taller and bigger than most of the kids.
Yeah,
And,
little size advantage.
and so when you came to Park, that was kind of it was a weird thing. I guess the first year you were there, did you play in the 7th grade?
I did.
Okay.
That was that was odd because, matter of fact, there wasn't many of us that did, especially from the South team. Most of them stayed and played, but myself and Jeff Leopardi, and I think there was a couple others. I don't remember if Vince did or not. I can't remember. But yeah, that was a eye opener, I guess. It was like I said, when you got to play with 9th graders, there were some pretty big guys back in those days. I thought that made me look a lot smaller than I felt.
Well, you got kids that were, I mean, actually some of them in the 9th grade could have turned 16.
Yeah.
And you get like some of the athletes like Terry Nichols
Right.
and those guys, they were tremendous athletes, went on and played college ball and stuff. And that was the first year that I coached at the junior high level. And it was kind of funny. I'd coached at Woodrow in wrestling and stuff, and I hadn't coached football before. And then I went to the Y and worked at the Y for about 5 years. And a buddy of mine talked me going back in the school system, and he said, I got the perfect job for you. You can coach football, wrestling, and track. And I said, okay, I'll take that. Yeah. But that was a special group that my son John came from out of district. He couldn't play till the 8th grade.
Right.
And you guys had a pretty tight, as a 9th grade bunch, you guys were undefeated.
Yeah.
Great, but you didn't blow a lot of people out. Those were some, I mean,
Always tight games, it seemed like.
Logan and Stratton and I think Beckley, all of them were tight ball games. It was a good chemistry, and a lot of you guys still keep in contact.
Absolutely. I mean, it's amazing that it's like we never, it was like back in the day.
Yeah.
We'll get together. There's a lot of us. I see Doug and Jeff quite often. I just ran into Doug the other day. Saw Leopardi's new granddaughter.
Yeah.
Pictures that he went back to Texas. He went to Texas to where his son lives. But yeah, and John and I, there's a lot of us. Billy Cole, I see Billy Cole a couple times a week. Yeah.
Is he your doctor?
No, he's not. No, he's not. Funny thing, we've laughed about that over the years, but yeah, told him I couldn't pick between him and the other ones.
Michelle, when you were in high school, was there any? Were you involved in any activities or anything?
I was on the dance team, the drill team. There we were the Bingo Bells, is what we were called. In Texas, it was a little different than here. Our drill team, we had 60 girls on it. During the summertime, you would go to camps, just like you probably did at football camps. And then at those camps, they picked the best of the best, and then that's how you get the girls like on the Macy Parade or the bowl games. That's where all those girls get picked from. It's kind of a big deal in the dance world. But that's about all I did there.
Well, it takes a lot of time.
It does. It does. And I worked. I worked my first job when I was 15, and then I got my first real job was Long John Silver's when I was 16. And then I ended up getting a second job at the mall on the weekends. So I went to school and would work Long John Silver's and then would work at the mall. And I was a little busy doing that than I was, yeah.
Didn't have time for hobbies.
No. And then my sister, my little sister was born the spring break of my junior year of high school. So after that, it kind of got a little busy with her.
Yeah. Is that the only sibling you have?
Yeah.
My family, there was 4 of us, but my oldest sister was 11 years older than me, and then my brother was 9 years older, and my other sister was 8, actually 7.5, and they were 16 months, and they all got married young, pretty young, and so I didn't have the childhood relationship with them that some people do that are real close together, but we all had good relations when we became adults. Actually, a couple of us were in business together for a while, so I feel very fortunate about that. When you were in high school, what kind of music did you listen to? I always ask people that.
I listened to a little bit of everything in high school. I was the one that on Fridays, if I wasn't working, I'd be at the football games, and then afterwards, hanging out with the jocks one weekend. And then the next weekend, maybe we called them the Kickers. It was the Cowgirls, Cowboys, FFA group, kind of thing. I was a little eclectic, and I think I'm still that way. I think I listen to a little bit of everything even now. I like a lot of genres of music.
You don't have that one group that you would rather see than anybody, but
I don't think so. I mean, there's not.
I wouldn't think one, yeah.
Who?
I would not.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, there's just it would be a hard pick to sit down and actually narrow just that one group down.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot. We've gone to a lot of concerts together, everywhere from Jimmy Buffett to Poison, Motley Crue, Darius Rucker. I mean, we've seen it's. Yeah. We both have kind of. I think that's one thing that both of us enjoy together is music.
What did you listen to, Joe?
I probably listened to a lot of 80s metal. would probably be the most of it. A little rap here and there, and all kinds of different things. I grew up listening to a lot of gospel. My grandfather was a minister, so
yeah,
there was a whole lot of that went around the households back then. But
when I listened to Motown when I was in high school, and then after when the Eagles and the Creedence and those guys came around, Carole King, I liked all of those guys too. But for some reason, somewhere in my long life, I really started liking just classic country. Mm-hmm. I like old country. But now I still, some of the artists like Chris Stapleton, some of them I like them. But most of the time, if I listen on the radio, I listen to old music, old classic, and have been fortunate. However, there's one guy that I would like to see before he finally retires, and I'd like to see Bob Seger. Mm-hmm. And he's on the last tour.
Yeah, I'd love to see him.
I would, if he's probably within 200 or 300 miles, I might be heading that direction. But
I wouldn't blame you on that.
Always enjoyed him. But now after high school, Michelle, what did you get into?
I moved to West Virginia. When I graduated in 96, and I moved to Charleston in 98. My sister was turning 3. And, back then we didn't have Facebook. We didn't have cell phones, weren't even a big thing. So I kind of wanted to have a relationship with my sister. We're the only 2 siblings. There's none in between us. It's just us. And then life happened. I got my first job at AAA, and then I worked at the state capitol, and I had my first son at 21. So my sister and my kids are kind of more like brother and sister than me and my sister, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah. She's only 7 and 9 years apart from them, as to where we're 17. Uh-huh. There's, so they've kind of grown up together, and I think it's kind of nice because at some point I'm closer to my mom and dad's age, and the older I get, I'm kind of seeing that separation. Like at some point, we're not going to be there, but my kids are going to have my sister. They're going to have their aunt that they've grown up with, and that's going to be the family, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you had to work.
yep, I worked. So I've always kind of worked. I think I like to be busy. I guess a busybody, whether it's helping people or working or
So you were living in Charleston at that time? Mm-hmm. What do you think about Charleston?
back then or now.
Well, I like Charleston.
Joy, there was a lot to do. That was when we met and I moved here. That was one of the things I really missed was being able, anything from during the week on a Thursday night, I could take the boys down to the river and they did like a thing at Magic Island with like free movie night. So me and the boys had a lot of stuff to do. They were involved in football. I put them in football and soccer and t-ball, and we lived in Elkview. But I missed that when we moved here. Charleston was nice to go to. Even when we met, we'd go and have dinner by the river. Just so much more to do than here.
Yeah, I went to school in Charleston and went to college at Morris Harvey. It's University of Charleston now, which I still hate it. They changed the name. And I did my student teaching on the west side in Charleston, and it was tough. It was a tough side. And when I got done doing my student teaching, the principal and the assistant principal, I was trying to get a job over at Woodrow here, and he said, "You can teach anywhere. If you can teach in this end of Charleston, you can teach anywhere." And I did. I got a job up there, but I like to go to Charleston. We were there last Saturday actually for a while, and I'm not sure I'd like to live right downtown, but
I think it's any major city now. I don't think in any town you'd want to live in the town. I think towns like that are becoming not what we know anymore.
yeah. But if you lived in Elkview, that's
20 minutes out, yep.
Herbert Hoover area, and
Yes.
we used to. But Joey, what'd you get into right after high school?
I went to college. I went to WVU. Spent a few years there. I actually lived in Morgantown for about 13 years. So I went to school.
Still going to school?
No. I finally had some program issues with the programs I were in, and I got into. I worked in the mines during the summer, pay for college, and as I got older, that money just didn't quite stretch the whole year, so I started working in a restaurant. And I got involved with an investment group and actually worked for them for about 13 years. We had some different, some casual theme restaurants. We had some Americana restaurants and some fast food restaurants, and did a lot of that type of development, and did some traveling, opened some stores and some different things like that. But yeah, Morgantown was a great town to live in. Once you transitioned from being a student into a resident, now that wasn't an easy transition, but because it's a wild place, a lot of the times. But
even today, take away WVU, but Morgantown High School and Morgantown University are they're the fastest growing high school. There's people still moving in that area. And I think Morgantown's the biggest school in West Virginia now.
I think so.
And university's right up there too. And unlike southern West Virginia where we're losing population, those guys are getting it.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure a lot of them are tied into university jobs and those kind of things. But we sold modular homes or something for a while.
I did. When I moved back to Beckley, I had grand intentions, and I got into sales and worked for a mobile home dealer, and did that for 18 years, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you see your name in the paper all the time. It's Paul Joe Barry.
Right. That was a good experience. I learned a lot of things. I actually came back to Beckley with the thoughts of becoming a contractor, but I knew that I needed kind of to hone my marketing skills. I mean, I knew I needed help on that side, and manufactured housing was a great avenue for me to get that and learn how to do that. And I liked it. I helped. I counted up after I left the business, and to the best of my recollection, I had helped over 600 families, into homes that probably wouldn't have been able to afford anything else, and got them in good homes, and a lot of repeat customers. I'm at a point now with my real estate where I've got them now. They're transitioning out of these homes and calling me up. Hey, can you help us out?
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat to watch that, and I got to see a lot of places in West Virginia that you probably normally wouldn't see. Just off the wall places that I had to
And they
visit.
can put some of those homes in some places that you can't imagine.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they do it.
I wondered how I got my truck to some of them to visit them. But
Did you ever do any contracting as far as building or anything?
No, I never. Like I said, I got into that with those intentions, and just things happen. I actually had taken the real estate class back in 2005 and was going to transition out into that, and decided not to. And then you had the whole housing debacle, which was really great for manufactured housing. I mean, I had some of my best years during that time.
Yeah.
So I stayed, and I don't know. I just never. I don't know. I liked what I did, so there was no need to change at the time. But
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny you said that, because my whole family had been carpenters and builders. My grandfather and go all the way back, and I really liked that kind of work. I did it in high school, did concrete work in high school, and my dad and I worked in the summers a lot. And when I retired from education, which I retired pretty early, that's what I went into. And my nephew and I went into the contracting business.
Awesome.
And immediately he was really good. And his problem, he's never had good help.
Right.
And all of a sudden I show up with a truck and tools and a little bit of know-how. And we got a lot of Board of Education people that would call us, and it ended up, the reason I quit doing it after 2.5 years is we got too busy. We were working 6 days a week. We were working on weekends sometimes, because if we redo a doctor's office or something, we'd have to do it on the weekends when they weren't open. And it just got to a point. I told him, I said, I'll help you on some of the big jobs, but I can't do this every day. I'm by that time I was, getting a little older, but it was something I really wanted to do. I always wanted to see what it was like to go do contracting work every day.
You get to see the finished results. That's what I always liked about that side of things. And my family's had some rental properties throughout the year, so I've done a lot of that. I just never made the professional move to it. So.
Yeah. Well, how did you two meet? I heard a blind date or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Originally, we had each other as friends on MySpace. Do you remember MySpace? It's been so long. I don't even know if you can get on it anymore.
I don't either.
It was a blind date, actually. Yeah. It was September 6th. We were originally supposed to meet, I think, Labor Day on that Monday. He was at the lake with his parents, and my kids were with their dad. And I guess it had rained, so he had messaged me and said, would you like to meet earlier? Our plans had changed, so we changed it to Sunday, and we met at Tamarack. I'd given my girlfriend, Amy.
Now, you were living in Charleston?
I lived in Elkview, yes.
Oh, Elkview, and you were living in Beck.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I gave my girlfriend all of his information. At this point, we talked on the phone for a month. We'd never seen each other because we didn't have FaceTime back then. I mean, like, we'd only seen pictures. Like, we'd take face pictures and send it, but we'd never seen each other. So after about a month, he said, why don't you come in and we'll eat? So we met at Tamarack and walked around there and then went to Capestres and had our first dinner. I saw him out of the rearview mirror and I texted my girlfriend and I said, I'm going to marry this man. And she said, are you serious? And I said, yes.
Did you do a background check on him?
Well, she had all of his information. I had his work number, his work address, and I said, here's what he looks like on Facebook. I said, and I think she had added him at that point, or MySpace. I think it was still MySpace. And I said, here's all his information in case I go missing. And I texted her when he got there, and then I texted her when we went to eat, and then we sat there for about an hour outside of Tamarack talking, and I think I was home by like 12:30. And so I messaged on the way, and I said, I don't know if he liked me. Like, he gave me a peck on the cheek. He was a very big gentleman. I mean, like, it was kind of he was hard to read back then.
Now, I asked that because there used to be a guy with your name. It used to be in a newspaper a lot, and I would talk to my son John, and he said, "That's not Joe. That's not him, Wayne." I said, "I didn't think so." I said, "Who is this guy?" And I know that there used to be a guy that I worked for at the Wild Bob Bowling. There used to be another guy that got in trouble, and my boss hated it. I wish that guy just dropped it.
I had a lady that did a lot of advertising for me when I was in Morgantown, and she was originally from Oak Hill, Anstead, Fayette County area. Anyway, she moved back, and she called me up one day. She said, "Are you related to the Southern Shepherd?" And I'm like, "No, like not that I'm aware of." I said, "Have you had run-ins with her?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, well, sorry.
Michelle, your son, his name is Zach, isn't it?
The oldest is Zach, and the youngest is Jacob.
Oh, and what are they doing now?
Zachary was one of the first around here. When he was supposed to start his first day of senior year, he graduated from basic training.
Okay.
In Fort Jackson.
They did a split.
They
started a split program where you went the summer between your junior and senior year. You went to basic, and then after graduation, you went to your AIT training. And yeah,
that was a hard transition.
It was.
I don't know if I would recommend that to anybody. In basic training, they break you down to build you up to be a man. Yeah. I mean, that's what they're doing. No matter what branch you're going to, that's what basic training is. So when he went to basic training and then he had to come back to high school, that was hard for him. In his eyes, he was a man. These kids he came back to, he was like, they're so immature, Mom. They're not this. It was very hard for him to go, I think, and get that maturity level. We saw him grow so much. What we would hope he would gain through basic training, he did gain, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that was very hard for him to come back and then almost take a step back. Even though he went every month, he would go out to he's attached to the medical unit here in Beaver for the reserves. So he would go every month during his senior year out there, and then COVID hit. But now so in the reserves, he's a fueler for fuel tanks. And he decided to take that and go into airlines. And he used to work at Greensboro, and he started as a ramp agent, hoping to move to fuel tanker, and then he actually ended up moving into management. So now he is the general manager for Blue Sky in Savannah, Georgia.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
He goes and actually helps the startups. They're kind of like an Allegiant, or what would be another...
more like a regional...
they make bids for some of the smaller airports and stuff. Yeah. So he's gone to Boise. He's gone to Montana.
Bozeman.
Dallas. He now goes with these teams to help
Gulfport.
start up the startups of them. So they're getting ready to. He's thought about transitioning to the startup teams of bringing that up.
Now, Joe, you are in real estate now. In real estate, I was in real estate for about 7 years back in the early 90s and early to mid 90s. And, we didn't even have cell phones back then, and they didn't do anything on a computer. We'd get a book once a month and look at it, and phone calls, but no cell phones. Cell phones started coming in right there at the end. But, and they just started doing lock boxes occasionally here and there, and but it was a different world, and I actually really liked it. But now I got into it thinking what I was planning on doing was getting these real good deals on houses and buying them and flipping them and making all kinds of money. But after the bankers and the realtors got through with them, the salesman we didn't get the real good deals. Right? And but that was another thing that I got out of because I got too busy. I was still teaching school, and man, I was showing houses at night and on the weekends and stuff, and it was taking a lot of time from the family. And I finally said, and we missed the extra money when I did quit, but I just went back into teaching and coaching again, and but I enjoyed the experience. I worked for Jerry Zafratis for several years, and he was good to me. And actually, it's right when he started, they just had opened. There was only like 3 of us that were selling at that time, and but now what you guys are doing, y'all are doing computer drones and computers, and you don't really even have an office, do you, except at your house?
Yeah. Now, some of the brokerages have a brick and mortar office, but I work out of the house. I work for a national broker, so we don't have an office in Beckley. But yeah, most of my work's done on the computer. If you ask my parents, I never work. If you ask my wife, she knows I work all the time. So, but my parents are like, I sit on my porch as my office a lot, especially when the weather's nice and it's
but people, not blue cold, when people contact you, they already know a lot about the house.
Yeah.
They use the computer, they see everything. It's just it saves a lot of time, I guess.
It does. Yeah.
And then also, the biggest thing was with us back in those days was making sure the person could be pre-approved or approved, because otherwise you're spinning your wheels, man. And there was times that I would take people out and show them 3 or 4 houses, and they ain't got a prayer getting a loan. And it was just this new system is much easier.
Well, and an improvement on that side is now, most of the banks, most of the lenders, you can get a pre-approval online. Now, they pre-approve probably about 90% of the people that put an application in, so it's not always a given, but at least you know that there's a chance.
Yeah.
So that's helpful, and it's instant. Typically when someone calls me or contacts me, however they do, that's the first thing. Do you have a pre-approval? Is this something that's going to be in a budget that you're comfortable with? So you do a lot of preliminary work. That was a skill that I've really learned from the manufactured housing business. Just the whole process that we did there. That was a big part of it. Was evaluating and where you needed to be to get a payment that you needed, and then all that good stuff. And that was probably one of the most valuable things I took from that industry to real estate.
That's right.
But yeah, you could. It's very easy I get people that call me, I want to see this house. I'm like, you got a pre-approval? Oh no, I'm good. No, you're not. We need to know for sure. Gas isn't cheap.
And Michelle, tell us about Bare Necessities. When did you start this, and how did you get into it?
Well, when I moved here in August of 2010, and my youngest had just been diagnosed with epileptic seizures. Lucky for us, we live where we live, and Joe took it and let me stay home with him. He's outgrown it. It was just, they said 80% of kids have it. Most of the time it's in their sleep. They never show symptoms of it. And he has ADD, and I guess the medicine, when we put it on, it made him come out during the day. So in 2017, he was going to be in middle school, and I was getting restless. I was bored, you know, at this point. I mean, that I helped our oldest was in 8th grade, and we just started soccer. I mean, we were into so much, but then it was like everything just stopped all of a sudden. They didn't want to do stuff. And so I said, you know, while they're in school, I'm going to find something to do. And that January, I had seen an ad on Indeed. There was a lady coming in from, I think maybe Greensboro or somewhere, and she had a organization company, and she was trying to start it down here. And she had a client in Glade, and so I answered the ad, and she called, and we talked, and I said, okay, this sounds great, something I'd like to do. And we went, she came in, we went, we did the job. It was not going to work with her. You find people, and you just kind of know it's not going to be a good fit.
Just didn't click.
It didn't click. Yes. Well, about 2 or 3 months later, the person I helped her with in Glade found me on Facebook and said that she really admired my work ethic and asked if I was still working with that lady. And I said, no. I said, things didn't work out. And she said, well, good. She kind of had the same feeling about that lady. And she asked if I'd be interested in just coming and helping her from time to time, just doing different things. And I was like, well, okay, cool. So I'd go over to her house 3 days a week, and I did everything from make her bed, do the dishes. I think one
Cook.
I'd help cook when they'd have big party. I mean, I kind of helped her just do all kinds of stuff. She'd have a list. I'd check off the list, and I'd be done for the day by 2 o'clock, get home, be there for the kids. And then she said one day, well, we're getting ready to go to the beach. We're going to Florida for the winter. We're snowbirds. Well, at this point, Leah Prokowski, Sisk, do you know Leah? She graduated with him, had also reached out. Her mom was in the hospital, and she wanted somebody to kind of help with her dad because he had been going back and forth to help her mom in the hospital. So I started helping her. And then I think we had one more friend that had reached out, and they were like, can you help? And I thought, well, this is different. Not something I ever thought I would do. In fact, my husband, he said when I came to him, so in October, the client had left, and I came to him and I said, I think I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do it right. I'm going to get my business license. I'm going to get insurance. And I'm going to start out off the gate professional. Like I want to be the professional one and see how we can do this. And he said, I give you 2 months.
Yeah. I didn't have a lot of faith.
He did not. He was just like, I give you 2 months. But I loved it. I loved going in these people's houses and transforming them. You know, I've been everywhere from a stay-at-home mom, a single mom, a working single mom. I mean, I've been all of them. And any help I could have had at any of those walks of life would have been so appreciated. So that's kind of how I started it. I started it with going in and helping transform a little bit of stress in these women or men. I had a couple of single men that were raising their kids and even going in and helping them transform. You know, I'd get messages in the evenings that, oh my gosh, we just came back from football and I don't have to worry about cleaning my house. I can put my kids in the shower and we can all just chill. And that's like the best compliment. And it went from there. It blew up. It really did. Once I put it out there that, hey, I started a page, and then that was it.
By that spring, you were...
Now, where do you have like commercial jobs that you have to do on a regular basis?
Mm-hmm.
And
we have, I think at this point we have 11 commercial clients, and we actually do over 125 houses a month. So we have one of our biggest clients is Raleigh General. We do 9 offices for them, and we have a crew of 4 that works on Tuesday and Fridays for 5 of them, and then another crew that works Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 4 of them.
Now, you can't be with them all the
No,
time.
no.
You have to
I have
trust.
team leaders. It's taken a
See-
long time for me to. I just finally stepped back in February from working. I was doing it all. The burnout was very real. I was working from. Well, I'd get up sometimes at 7:30, and my phone would be going off. So before I'd even go to meet the girls during the day, I'm sitting there trying to put out fires of the day. Then I'm going and we're working from. When I first started, I didn't have boundaries. So I'd go to work at 9 and I may not come home till 9 or 10 at night. I mean, there were days where I was pulling 15, 16, 17 hours. One vacation, I came in, we were going on a cruise our first Christmas in 2019. We were supposed to leave at 5 a.m. and I didn't get home till 7 a.m. And I started work at 9 a.m. the day before. So
Trying to get everything
just trying
done,
to get
finished
things.
for the.
Yeah, these people wanted to move in for Christmas. It was a week away, and they were literally wrapping a Christmas tree in their house and just moving it into this brand new house they bought. And so I worked that. Me and one other girl worked that whole night on that house, and that next morning, so those people could move in for Christmas. Yeah.
On top of that, she was managing the business, which is a full time job in itself. And I kept telling her, I said, you've got to make a choice. You've got to go one or the other. I said, you can't continue to do both. And then she finally come around earlier this year and started.
Well, my team leaders are great. Jen, my day crew team leader has worked with me and beside me for 4 years now. She came in 2021. And it's just amazing. I mean, if I need her, she's there. It's just so anything that she may come up with that I would have came up with, if she doesn't answer it, she just messages me. And she's phenomenal. She's me out there. And that was the hardest thing because the lady I started with, the one thing that she told me when I went and did this was, nobody is going to love your company like you do. And she was right. Nobody's going to work as hard for your company than you do.
Yeah. Now, do you have a lot of turnover, attrition with workers?
Yeah.
Because I know that's the complaint most small businesses have. They can't get people, and you can't have a business if you don't have employees.
Right.
And then in my business, it's a little even different because you got to make sure you can trust them in people's houses. I mean, you're going into houses that we have people everywhere. I mean, like one of our first couple houses was a lung cancer patient. So he has medicine, or you're going into houses that just has a lot of stuff in it and wouldn't know if something's even gone. So the fact, I was just reading a statistic on one of my pages, and it said for every 100 people that put a resume in, the cleaning world only hires one. For every 100. And that's a big thing for our world. Like, I think people in the cleaning world get a really bad rep because of the job that they do. And it's not that we're cleaning toilets. I mean, yes, that's what we're doing. But in our eyes, we're not doing that. We're making this lady or this man's home feel...
Taking a stress off.
Yeah, taking a stress. Feel better when they come home. They don't... It's just one less thing they have to worry about, And we have some clients that have 5 and 6 kids. Can you imagine? I mean, coming home for just one evening and being able to just spend time with those kids after work. That's all you got to do. You come home and you spend time with your kids. And to some parents, that's worth it.
Do you have a lot of competition? I mean,
there is. Our biggest competition are just these individuals. The individuals that can charge $10 an hour.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to get people to work, the way our pay scale runs had to change. And I do know for around here, I am one of the highest paying. My team leaders make $25 an hour. And my workers I used to start them at 15, but now I start them at 18. And I have some that make up to 21 an hour just for being, a worker. My day crew gets paid travel time. So they may work 5 hours, but they're going to get paid for 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And that's the different things I've incorporated to help these ladies, because you can't. When we first started, I was paying them $10 an hour, and we were working 25 hours a week because there are 5 or 6 of us on the day crew, And it wasn't working for any of us. So but I was paying the prices on if I was coming in to clean. That's what I was charging for, not a company. So that had to change. And it was a step. It was a very big, it's been a very big learning process. My husband was the first person I had to lay off. COVID hit.
Got me.
We had the Boy Scouts. Our biggest company was the Boy Scouts in 2018, and we did the big jamboree out there. And at that point, we had a crew of 15 that was just at the Boy Scouts. Yeah. Jamboree was insane. My husband would have to stand at the doors at the public restrooms like this, because there was the culture
literally blocked people from
because they couldn't
in
understand what he was saying, and they would just keep coming in, and we couldn't clean bathrooms. And then the cultural difference, we would find broken seats because they'd stand on them, because that's what they do in their country. Mm-hmm. But yeah. And then COVID hit, and I said, "Oh, I gotta let you go." I mean, he was running supplies. He was helping do like hours. Well, we went from clocking 100 and something hours to 6, And then I said, we did even have a couple. I think we were off, 1, maybe 2 full weeks during COVID.
It wasn't long.
And then the third week, we had clients calling, "We need you. We can't. Are y'all going to work? We don't do the shot if you don't want. We don't care." We need you back. So 2 weeks is all we were off for COVID. After that, we were trying to sit here and figure out how to make it work. And so
downscaled a lot, but yeah, she continued to work.
Mm-hmm.
As busy as you are, what's with the Bear Nutrition thing?
Oh.
What is that?
That's a little side job that we picked up.
So we've tried to do this healthy lifestyle. I have, since having the business, have found out a little bit of health issues. I'm allergic to everything under the sun. I can't use bleach in my company because I'm allergic to bleach. We actually have 3 companies. We have one for Melaleuca products, which is what we use in the company. They're all natural, no bleach, no side effects. The lung cancer patient, he could not have bleach or any harsh smelling chemicals. I've used,
sound like me.
Yeah, well, and I've used Melaleuca in my life. Me and Zachary get really bad welts, like if we get mosquito bites, and their soaps have helped us. It's tea tree oil and Melaleuca oil. So we have that business, and then I have degenerative disc disease on top of all of the other stuff, rheumatoid arthritis and osteoarthritis now in my hands, which is one of the reasons why I really needed to start figuring out how to step back. But at the same time, my doctors also told me that once I stop, I could probably never walk. So I had to stay active. I had to, and just because I step back doesn't mean I'm not going to ever have to work again in the business. So we go and we work out every day. We started a challenge, and we had to find something healthy to kind of put into our bodies instead of like Red Bulls and stuff. So our Bear Nutrition is called Herbalife, and it's teas, it's protein teas and shakes and pre-workouts and iced coffee, and we did it out of our home.
Do you sell a product? Is it?
Yeah, we don't push it a whole lot as far as that, but yes, I mean it's basically a sales company.
Is it something somebody mixes themselves or that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a national company. Herbalife has actually been around for 40 some years,
since the 80s.
Since the 80s, over the years, I've worked out. Since we had a discussion when Coach Mahalik passed, he was the one that probably got me into to lifting and stuff like that, and I've continued that throughout my whole life. And I've tried a lot of different proteins and different stuff like that. And if you've tried any of them, you know a lot of them are nasty. Some of them are bad. We had one company that we used that was pretty good, but I'm type 2 diabetic, so it caused me some issues. And then it started. Then she did.
My stomach.
After a little while, she realized that it was causing her, so we stopped using it. But this has been one that we've not. We've
been on it for 4 years now.
4 years, and it's a good product.
Yeah.
So and we've continued to use it.
It's not, yours is like a drink, a tea, or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, they have supplements. I was about to say pills, and again,
No, can't say that.
different supplements, vitamins, and stuff like that. We mostly do the shakes and the teas. The teas are like kind of energy drinks. Uh, they'll have some caffeine and some different things, but they're very natural, so that they're not as harmful on your body as the Red Bulls and the Monsters and all that other stuff that you could put in there.
Now, you guys just completed well, I guess you don't stop, but you just did a 75-day hard challenge. I guess that's what they call it.
Yeah.
Man, I looked at that and I said, "There's no way." First of all, 2 workouts a day.
Shoot, we were thinking about that when we did it in February.
No alcohol.
Yeah.
No sugar.
No sugar.
So
No
it's
sugar.
the diet. Yeah, you pick a diet. You pick your own diet. And February was the month I learned I had rheumatoid arthritis and osteo. I learned it all. And I had kind of, my weakness during winter is the goodies that you eat. You start in October and you start eating those nice goodies. And I had just noticed my hands were hurting more. I was bloated. I was swollen. And he said, "Why don't we try this?" We had a friend that had done it, and he looked it up, and it says you pick your own diet. You do what you want as far as the diet. Well, I figured if I was going to do this thing called 75 hard, I was going to do it correctly. And I was just going to just go all in, and I cut sugar out. I haven't had a soda in, I quit.
How did your body react to no?
Let me tell you, the detox from that sugar was real. I mean, day 3, I had shakes, headaches. I mean, it was, we were actually, I said, our tea had caffeine in it, and that was one of those things that helped with the headaches. But I didn't want to replace one with the other, so I do 1 tea a day. I do it in the morning, and I try to do our 2 shakes. I do 1 in the morning, and I kind of cheat my body. I make my shake in the evening thicker, so it's like a pudding, so it's my dessert. But I cut out, all sugar because I like my sweets. I'm not allergic to sweets.
We're not talking she'd have a cookie.
Don't you dare.
Because she's allergic to, beef, pork, you name it. She's allergic to so much stuff. Sugary stuff is not one of them. So, she would, it's not a cookie. She'd have a cookie. She'd have a cake. She'd have a piece of pie.
Because I was hungry and
But
I
it
couldn't
didn't,
eat. Yeah.
it didn't affect her like the stuff that she's allergic to. So, in a sense, I guess it was good for her to eat that. But, she had some sugar. And it was rough for a couple weeks. And then
about 2 weeks.
I think after about the second week, she kind of started coming back around a little bit. But
So you got your 2 workouts. You're cutting sugar, no alcohol. You you drink a gallon of water every day.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That's a lot of water.
I learned
It
the
is.
first day I had to start early. The first night I finished mine like at 9:30. I was up all night. All night
would
peeing.
be.
So he said, you got to finish it by 6. So after that night, I made sure I was done by 6 every day. Now, we also went to Vegas during our 75 hard.
That was the hard part because I'm
And
We're so
technically, if you cheated, you had to start all over.
all over from day one. And at this point, we were on day
we only
55.
had
Had
about
a couple days, like
2 or 3 weeks left,
Yes.
so it wasn't going to be worth it.
It wasn't worth it to us at all. Like we did, my parents were like, "What are y'all doing?" And I'm like, "Hey, it's 3 weeks. That's all I have." And they're like, "It was for our son's birthday. He would turn 21 in April." Which was during our challenge, but I had found some non-alcohol spritzers. I found a tequila, a bourbon, and a gin that had no alcohol in it. So I had ordered it, and me and Joe did shots of the tequila with Jake when he turned 21, and it tasted like a shot of tequila. It was, ugh.
Being the novice beer connoisseur that I am, I found out, probably the last time I really didn't drink it all for a good period of time. The only thing out there was O'Doul's and Sharps. They're not exactly the best. And I discovered during the challenge that there's actually some pretty good non-alcoholic beers out there.
Yeah.
you know, that I got to try. And it was interesting. It was different.
Now, you guys had, I think part of the program, you took pictures of yourself every day.
Daily
Yeah.
Well,
pictures.
sometimes that could be emotionally and even physically a detriment. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't see change.
yeah.
You don't see change.
And but now they do have a softer program that where you can kind of cheat a little bit here and there. I
Yeah,
guess
it gives you
know.
a cheat day
But,
here and there.
Are you still doing saying most of this stuff?
Yeah.
We do. We go to the gym every day. We don't do an indoor outdoor. We just do it all inside. That way we go in. I think a little bit has changed. That helped start this healthy life, I guess. I was never a gym person. I liked classes. Like there was a brick house around here and I loved it because that helps me get to classes is knowing I can maybe socialize with other people and see them and say hi and then we do a class or two and then we go home. So I was never just a gym person. Now I've had a Planet Fitness membership since 2019. Never used it till this year. Paid $25 all this time, but never used it till
That's
this
the way a
year.
lot
I
of
mean,
people
it's yeah,
are.
You
it's
got
20.
bicycles and
It helps you to stay open.
like the old pool table stuff, people buy a pool table, they use it for about a week, and then it sits
Right.
there and
It
it
becomes
becomes
a-
closed. But you're probably smaller, Joey, than you was in high school.
Absolutely.
Way
I-
smaller.
2 years ago, I set a goal for myself. I had not been under 200 pounds since 1986.
In junior
My
high.
one wrestling career year, I wrestled, I think it was 155 at Park, and I showed up for football season the next August and was 205. And I have not been under 200 pounds since. I had, I mean, I usually stayed between 225, 230. It's just something I wanted to do. And that definitely helped me. And I'm still not quite there, but I've in the past, I've gotten down to 205, 210 for like a day or two. And then it's, it was gone. I've actually been between 205 and 210 now for probably 6 months. Just trying to get over that hump a little bit to get under 200. But that was one of the goals that I set, and was one of the reasons that I wanted to do the challenge, was try to push that a little bit. But
The main thing is how you guys feel. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. That's what I can tell when I eat something bad because it's instant now. Almost. I mean, almost. I had a steak over the weekend and I felt it instantly. I could just, because we don't do it. I mean, but our goals have changed too. I mean, that's one of the better things. Like he's gotten me into that gym routine that I never thought I'd ever be into. I never thought I'd be this person that's like, oh, I did some new PRs today. Like, yes. And I mean, that's just not, I've never been that person.
you both look great.
Thank
You
you.
really do.
Thank you.
The thing I like about you guys, as busy as you are, you still find time to get out and enjoy yourself and support community day efforts, and you got to do that. That's all. I've never heard anybody, and I've said this before on my podcast, that on their dying bed said, "I wish I would have worked harder."
Right.
Right.
There's other things. What's
More to life.
on your bucket list? I mean, you guys went to Key West here recently.
Yeah, this summer.
And I love Key West. We've been down there twice, and the last time we went was in January, around my wife's birthday, and we caught a really good week. It was 80 degrees.
Oh,
it was
nice.
beautiful. Everybody was in a festive mood. The next week when we left, it was 55 degrees. So we were really lucky.
That's good timing.
But did you like Key West?
I did. Very much so. I mean, it was just ungodly hot.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to go down there this summer.
Someone decided that we had to visit the buoy, and we decided we were going to walk.
I was that someone, just
It
so
was-
you know.
Let's just say a 9-10 mile walk in 100+ degree heat and
Oh,
humidity was not fun.
But he was the only one complaining, just so you know. I loved it. I'm from Texas. That was my weather. Like, I'm sitting here we did a trolley. My dad can't, we went with my parents. It was my dad's birthday, so we kind of did this trip for him. We stayed at the Hard Rock Cafe, or Hard Rock Casino, the guitar for his actual birthday, and then went down and we rode the trolley around at first for him. And I think I got up and he said, "Oh my gosh." And I said, "What?" He said, "You got an hourglass on your backside where I was sweating so bad." And then we walked from there, but I liked Key West.
I did too.
I liked the Mallory Square in the evenings,
yes.
when everybody was musicians and
Right.
musicians
A lot
and,
going on.
and all that stuff. But what's on your bucket list? What's something that you guys would like to do you haven't done, or go somewhere, or besides solve world peace? And
Probably one of my biggest. I'd like to go to Europe. Both my lineages are one side's from Portugal, one side's from Germany, so I'd kind of like to explore that a little bit. And there's a lot of history. I mean, I'm a history nerd. I love all the stuff that you can see and learn that's there that I've hopefully someday I will.
have you ever been out of the country?
We have. We've been to Mexico. I've been to Canada. I've been, Bahamas, some different islands, but nothing on that side of the world.
Yeah. What about you, Michelle?
I think I'd like to go to Ireland or Scotland, and then in the United States, I'd love to take out west. We've gone to Vegas, but other than that, I've never done anything. So I told him I would love to go and fly out to Montana, rent an RV for 2 weeks, and just do a nice 2-week tour of out there. I think that's for here in the United States, but I would like to go to Greece or Ireland, Scotland. I think I'd like to do that a little bit more than the Europe, Paris kind of. I mean, either would be nice, but
my parents got to do. They took their camper, 10, 15 years ago, and did a 6 or 7 week trip out west, all through Yellowstone and all that. I'd like to do so. That's another thing.
In the old days, people used to go the old Route 66.
that's what they did. I think that's what they did. They did it one way, and
that was something I would. Of course, now it's changed a lot, but it still would be interesting to me. With 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? I mean, where would you like to see, other than hitting a lottery or whatever? I mean, where would you like to be? Do you have a 10-year plan to retire, or do you have want to keep working, or bigger business, or what? Or
with bigger business comes bigger headache. I've learned that. In 10 years, we have talked about getting a place close to the beach, so we can keep working, because we really are very lucky to work the way we work. I mean, we can go on these trips and still work, We both do. I'm still taking calls. I mean, we went to Florida and I got 3 big commercial calls and I quoted them, and by the time we came back, they accepted the quotes. And so even though we're doing what we do, I don't think that will change in 10 years. I hope not, at least. I mean, I hope we still have our companies, because I kind of enjoy working. I don't know. I think I'd be bored if I didn't.
Yeah, I would too. I have to do something.
Yeah, I think.
But
again, we're lucky to be able to take it with us. So it's not like we go to a Monday through Friday, sit at a desk, 9 to 5 job. You know what I mean? We're lucky to take that with us. So I think that's probably. But we have talked about getting a place closer to the beach. Yeah, going traveling more. Or even getting a camper. We haven't nailed it down. We like our animals. We have 3 dogs and now a kitten. So
how many kittens you have?
Thankfully, just one.
One. I found it. It found us. I guess the cat gods is what they call it. It rained down on us.
Distribution center.
That's what Zach called it. It was in the woods crying one night when we came home, and I was out there for 2 weeks, every other hour feeding it, trying to get it to come to me, and it took a ride down to the 4-lane and came back and came out and said, "Oh, I'm not doing that again," and came in our house and won't leave.
Yeah. We've never had kittens, but we were working for a lady up at Old Eccles Road, and somebody came along and threw 3 little kittens in a pile of brush and took off. And we were feeding them every day at lunch. And I tried to catch all 3 of them and couldn't. And then the job ended, and we caught one, and I brought it home. And actually, my plans were to take it to the farm and let it be a farm cat. But once Diane saw it, she wouldn't let it go. And it's 15 years old now, and it's still got that feral, even as young as it was. When there's people around, it won't come out at all, and stays under the bed. But in the morning when I get up, there it is wanting a treat immediately, and it got that trained. But that's the only cat we've ever had. We've always had dogs, and even our dog and a cat, they don't really like each other, but they respect their territory.
That's how we ended up with the cat. We're both allergic to cats to start with.
Well, I'm allergic to cats and dogs. I'm allergic to everything.
So
yeah.
This whole 2-week process thing, we have 3 dogs, and every time we walk them, there's several cats out on the road and stuff, and they're always chasing them. I'm like, I got it. These dogs are not going to let this cat stay. Oh, it's ridiculous. The cat, the kitten will hug up, and it's all 3 of them. It's not just one of them. I've come out in the mornings, and the dogs will be laying in their bed, and the cat will be snuggled up against one of them. Or the little dog, we have a Chiweenie that
it's amazing.
She puts on a Monday Night Raw WWE show. The kitten will run out and jump on her back, and they're wrestling around. They sold me out.
They did, all 3 of them. He said, well, if the dog... Well, so I called the vet one day, and I thought, well, I'm going to take... All 3 of our dogs are rescues. That's how we are. They've all shown up except for Finn. The other 2 have shown up. People dropped them off, and then they just never left. So I called the vet to have the cat checked out, and she said, what's the kitten's name? And I said... My husband won't let me keep him, so he doesn't have a name yet. She said, well, we'll just call him Kitty. I said, okay. So then we show up on Monday, and she said, so does the kitten have a name? And I said, it does, Ozzy. He said finally, well, are you going to name him? And I said, what do you mean? And then he said, well, if he's going to stay around here, you might as well name him.
Well, my dog is named after my grandmother on my mother's side, Mia. And my cat's name is Addie on my father's side, my grandmother. So we named him. And but the cat's 15 years old, the dog's 13, and so we've been kind of blessed that they've lived as long as they have. Guys, I really appreciate you coming and talking to me. You got anything else you'd like to add before we quit?
Thank you for having us.
This was a nice opportunity.
Absolutely.
This was pretty fun.
Good.
I always like meeting my husband and hearing his stories because I'm not from here. So I always tell people I can tell when in time they knew him based on how they call him. If they call him Joey, I know it was high school or younger. But if they call him Joe, then I know that they've met him after high school, college, and on. So it's always fun to hear stories, and sometimes.
Well, how do you want to be remembered? I mean, if you had to choose.
I want to be remembered as a good person. Somebody that was real, somebody that was just good.
Just a good guy.
Just good person.
How about you, Michelle?
Absolutely. Somebody that helped.
Yeah.
Yeah. We both try to be there for people and we don't... I guess the big thing with us is we do things, but we don't tell people. We keep it quiet.
It's not about
we
recognition.
Help people, but
we try to do a lot of stuff, but I don't.
We don't seek the recognition for it. You know, I mean, it's what I told somebody.
It's out of being good. It's not out of I can do this because I'm getting this out of it.
When I started the company about a year into it, I do a couple free cleanings a year for people. Whether they're cancer patients or, but I don't tell people that, I don't advertise that because it's something I do, I don't know.
I had a buddy who used to say, every day he'd wake up, he said, I'm going to do something for somebody and I ain't going to tell nobody.
Absolutely.
And it was, And that's how he lived. Well, guys, I appreciate you, and you're welcome back anytime you want to come on the
Thank you.
podcast, and appreciate
I
it.
try to listen to all of them.
Well, anybody else out there would like to be on our podcast, you can contact me at awbennett50@gmail.com, and we'll get you on here. And until next time, remember, if you're not dead yet, you're not done yet. This is Wayne Bennett. God bless you.